Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Let's begin our session today with the recitation of Surah Al-Fatihah. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord, the creator and the sustainer of the universe, as we are able to join and meet in another webinar session organized by Center for Languages and Pre-University Academic Development, Celpad, IIUM. For your information, today is the 17th series of the IIUM Celpad webinar. I am Fazlina Fazli Kadir of English Language Division Celpad Gombak, will be your moderator for today's webinar session. Alhamdulillah, we have with us today Brother Daniel Baharuddin, English lecturer from Celpad Gombak. Brother Daniel received his first degree in English Language and Literature from IIUM and his master's degree in TESOL from University Putra Malaysia. He is currently doing his PhD in English Language Study here at International Islamic University, Malaysia. He embarked his career in 2018 as a language instructor in University Malaya and later as an English lecturer in City University, Malaysia. Brother Daniel joined IIUM as an English lecturer in 2020. Since then, he has contributed in various events conducted by Celpad and currently he is the course coordinator for LEED 0004 English Language 4 under the English Language Division of Celpad Gombak campus. With regards to today's topic, which is Finding Your Voice and Persona, a session on speaking in public, I feel like it is an important topic and interesting topic as speaking in public allow us to build our confidence, to form connections, to motivate change, and also to develop vocabulary and fluency in the language used. It is also one of the common issues faced by students, particularly English as a second language speaker. I personally believe that Brother Daniel is the right person to talk about this topic as he actively involved himself in activities that requires public speaking skills. As mentioned, he is a full-time educator and he is also a professional master of ceremony, MC, where he had the experience MCing and hosting various events such as weddings, convocation, annual dinner, sports days, seminars, and also forums. Apart from that, he is also an assistant instructor in Karate Do, where he experiences in teaching and coaching students ranging from kids to adults. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Brother Daniel to share more about the topic. If you have any questions, you may post it in the chat box. Please welcome Brother Daniel.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ms. Fazlina. I hope that my voice can be heard. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yes,
So
clearly.
let me share my screen first. Yeah. As always. Where is it? Okay. Okay. Let me present. Is it okay, Ms. Fazlina? Is it all right? Okay.
Yes.
So again, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is, and a very good morning to everyone. Hello, people from YouTube. So my name is Daniel Baharuddin. So I am an English lecturer from the English Language Division of Celpad IIUM Gombak campus. So today I'm going to be sharing today's webinar on the topic Finding Your Voice and Persona, a sharing session on speaking in public. But before I start my speech or my webinar, I would like to say thank you to the IIM Celpad webinar team for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to share this topic today. And for your information, this topic is something close to my heart. And as mentioned by Ms. Fazlina just now, most of I think my career, my part-time job, my freelance, and also my hobbies requires me to speak in public. So I hope from today's webinar, I am able to share to all of you what I learned from my experience speaking in public. And from that experience, it helps me to improve myself as a public speaker. Uh, and this webinar can also be applied to everyone, not only for students or teachers or educators, but anyone from any walks of life, because I think um, most of you will require for you to speak in public. So for example, if you are a staff, when you are in a meeting, you need to explain, you need to present your findings, or you need to present a project. So that requires you to speak in public. And also for especially for students, you will have presentation, you will have group discussion with your friends. So again, that requires you to speak in public. So I hope today, all of I can say the tips that I share here can be beneficial to you and can be applied to your situation and settings. All right. Okay, so let's start. Okay. All right. So basically, the topics that I will be sharing here today will be divided into three. Okay. So when we talk about speaking in public, obviously you will be, you know, uh, giving a speech, right? You will be giving a speech. You will be presenting a speech. So I will share to you what I learned before, based on my experience. Yeah, what I learned before I conduct my speech. What did I do? Okay, and also during the speech, what are the tips that I did in order for me to become an effective and inspirational public speaker? And at the end of this webinar today, I'm going to share how, based on the tips that I share before, what I did before my speech and what I did during my speech, and how at the end of the day, I am able to find my voice and persona in public speaking. So as you can see here, I don't know if you know this man here in this picture. This is Raymond Go. He is, if you watch Nightline in TV3, so he is one of the news anchor. I will share this story later on how I actually came about, into this field of news reading, but that will be later. All right. Okay. So before your speech, you can see here this man here. He's so excited, preparing his speech. But in reality, it's not very exciting when you want to prepare your speech. Let's say that you are required to speak in public, to present in a meeting or to present in a classroom. The reality is not like this guy. You will not be, all happy and everything. You will be nervous, right? You will be nervous, you will have anxiety. Oh my God, what will happen? What if I did this? What if I did that? So the reality is not like this man who is smiling here. Okay, so I'm going to share on what I did before. Okay, what I did before my speech. Okay, that can help me to prepare myself to become a good public speaker. All right. Okay, so you can see here, this is a quote by Benjamin Franklin. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. I guess you are familiar with this quote. Basically, if you do not plan, you're planning to fail. That's basically it. Okay, right. So the first tip that I want to share when I want to give my speech is always to plan. Even when you want to go for a war, if you for students, if you want to go for an exam, of course you will study. So studying is a part of planning. So when you want to give a speech, whether you are giving a presentation in classroom, or you will be presenting a project or a topic in your meeting, or as a teacher, when you want to teach in your next class, you must plan. Okay, one of the easiest way for you to plan is to have an outline. All right. So what is an outline? So an outline is basically the guide for you, that will guide you on what you want to say in your presentation. Okay, later I will share to you. There is no one format of an outline. An outline depends on you. It depends on you. Okay, as long as the outline has a guide on what you should say the first, and then what you should say next, and what you should say at the end of your presentation. So that is an outline. So it depends on you on how you want to do it. Okay, but the most important thing when you want to do an outline is for you to only write them in points. This is usually people who are not um, experienced in public speaking when they want to give a speech. Instead of creating an outline, they will create a full-fledged script, with all the full sentence. Basically, it's like your whole speech in a paper. So you don't want that, and I will explain later on why that will not be sufficient. Okay, and that's not effective. Okay, so why an outline is very important. Okay, so number one, as I mentioned, you know what you want to say. Okay, so you know what you want to say. So it will give you a sense of security before you give a speech or before you present to someone or in front of an audience, you will always have this thought: what if I don't remember? Right? What if I forget what I want to say? What if I go overboard? So when you plan an outline, when you have an outline, it will give you a sense of security that okay, the first, let's say you have 5 points, right? And then you have an outline of the 5 points that you want to say, and you will know, okay, so the first point is A. And then in the first point, you have, some points of supporting details. So you know what you want to say next. But again, this does not mean that you should write your whole speech on that paper. An outline is different from a script, and this is what usually people who are not experienced or are still a beginner in public speaking or speaking in public, right? They will tend to write a full-fledged script, and this is not wise because you will tend to memorize. The idea of giving a speech or giving in public is for you to present, to tell a story, to present your findings, to tell a story. You are not a robot. If you memorize the things that you want to say, uh, it will not be effective. People will know that you actually memorize, and it doesn't come off as authentic, and you don't want that. Okay, so it's good for you to have that and make sure it's in point form. All right, and number two, okay, if you plan an outline, it is able to fulfill the expectation and the objective of your presentation. So when you are presenting in a classroom, or when you are presenting in a meeting, or when you are teaching, for example, okay, if you have an outline, you will actually fulfill all the objectives, because when you plan your what you want to say, you will look at your objective. Let's say if you want to present, even if you want to teach speaking, for example, right? So today you want to make sure that the students are able to learn about body language and also, let's say, facial expression. Okay, so when you have that objective and when you create the outline, you will fulfill that. So nothing, it will be okay. All right. And sometimes when we talk about planning an outline, yeah, you will not go overboard. Okay. In other words, you will not. In Malay we call it as short sendiri. Sometimes when you don't plan what you want to say, you will go over. So let's say for this session, for your presentation, you should let's say talk only or present only about A and B. But because you did not plan your presentation, you actually present on C, D, E, F, G. So the audience will get bored. Okay, and this actually relates to the third point, which is on time management. All right. So people who love to talk always have this problem. All right, because when they do not plan, they will go over the time limit. All right. And of course, this is a problem for a person who is shy. You know, when you do not plan, sometimes you will go under the time given. Okay. So if you plan, because later I will explain, when you plan, you will practice. Okay. When you plan an outline, you will practice, and you can actually look at your time management and make sure that your presentation and your speech is more or less near the time given to you. All right. It is very important when you are giving a speech or a presentation, when you are given a time limit, it's good for you to be near the time limit. So, for example, if you are required to present for around 5 minutes, let's say 5 minutes, right? So it's good if you can present up until 4 minutes, okay, or 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and end it around 5 minutes or maximum 5 minutes, 30 seconds. So in that case, you have like around 30 seconds. So if let's say you are given 10 minutes for you to present, so try to have your speech within 9 to 11 minutes, more or less. It's nearly impossible for us to stop on the dot, right? So, be near the time limit. You don't want to end too early, but you don't want to end, later than the time limit. Okay, because your audience, they know that, let's say you have only 10 minutes for you to present, or let's say you have until 10:30 to present. All right. And then your presentation go up until 10:45 or 10:50. And by that time, the audience will get bored. And whatever that you say before 10:30 will be useless because they feel that, oh, this person ni panjang sangat lah, so long. Okay. So you don't want that. Okay. You want people to remember you. Okay. Positively. Okay. So they don't want to remember you as the person or the speaker who loves to, drag their speech. So we don't want that. Okay. So when you plan an outline, it will be an effective time management for you. And this is very important. If you look at the points below, ensure your pace of presentation to be effective. So when you're presenting, there is a tendency for us to speak too fast, the pace of the presentation, okay, too fast or too slow. All right. Imagine if I speak like this. So it's not good. Okay. And again, when you do not plan, sometimes you feel that the time is not enough. Okay. So you want to make sure that you present everything before the time limit. So in this case, there is a tendency for you to speak fast. Oh, make sure today we are going to be talking about blah 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 blah. Okay. So that is not effective. All right. So when you plan your outline, when you know that you will be presenting around the time limit, your pace will be comfortable. It's not too fast. It's not too slow. All right. And the fourth point here is, of course, when you plan an outline, your speech will be very organized, and the audience will have an easy time understanding your flow of thoughts. So again, when you plan, what will you say first. Okay, so let's say when you're creating an outline, later I will show you an outline. Okay, let's say you want to explain three main points, right? So you have main point one, main point two, and main point three. So main point one, you will state your main point one, and under the main point one, you have your supporting detail. You have your explanation, you have your example. So when you follow that, it's easy for your audience to follow you, especially if your topic is a bit complicated or complex. All right. So having an organized speech, after you state your main idea, you elaborate a bit, and then you give some examples to give more understanding of your point, and then you conclude, and then you move on to the second point. So in that case, people can easily understand you, and trust me, the audience will appreciate that. Okay, because if your speech is all over the place, the audience will get confused. When they get confused, it means that your speech is not effective. So you don't want that. Okay. So although planning an outline is a very, I can say, a very simple tip. Okay. And everyone knows this. Okay. And everyone knows this, but they rarely prepare this. So it's good for you to prepare an outline. Okay. Okay, so as I mentioned just now, all right, there is no one format of an outline. So an outline actually depends on the speaker, okay, and also it depends on the mode of presentation. All right, are you giving a speech? Are you giving, let's say in my case, right? I host, I am a master of ceremony. So the outline is a bit different. In the case of a master of ceremony, the outline is actually the script. In the case of a master of ceremony, you are required to read the script, but that actually needs a skill on its own. Maybe you can have a different session of emceeing skills. So that's a bit different. But more or less, it's the same, okay? Because an outline, as I mentioned, it guides you on what you want to say in your presentation, what you will say first, you will say next, and everything. All right. So in this case, you can see here, this is the MC script, all right? And I used to be the moderator for a certain event. So even when you become a moderator, that is actually a flow, all right? An outline, like I mentioned, it gives you a flow. So if you see here, the speech outline here, this is for one of my class, okay, where they need to present their project. So I actually gave them a template on an outline. So it will be easier for them to say what they want to say first, what they want to say next, okay? And this is very good uh, for students or for anyone who are not knowledgeable in the case of how to organize your points in your presentation, in your speech. So having an outline is very important. I'm going to share some of the outline now. Okay, let me stop sharing for a while just to show to you. Yeah. Mhm. Okay, Miss Fazina, can you see the
Yes,
moderator flow here? Okay.
yes, can.
So just to share, so I used to be a moderator for a webinar as well. Okay, so for a forum, all right. A forum here refers to when you have 3 or 4 panels. It's more or less like a talk show, all right, where you have the moderator, which is you, the host, and then you have 4 panels. So you need to know the flow of the event as well. Okay, so in this case, if you are doing event management, okay, as an MC, in my case, an MC or a moderator, the most important thing is you need to know the flow of the event. All right, so maybe we have some of our audience here who is an aspiring, want to be an MC or want to be a moderator. Okay, the rule of thumb is if you want to plan your outline or your script in the sense, yeah, you need to know the flow of the event first. Ask your client, ask the event manager to give you the flow, okay, the timetable. So from there, you can actually create an outline. So in this case, it is a flow. So again, it depends on the schedule of the event. So here, you will start with welcoming remarks by the moderator. Of course, you will need to welcome everyone, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then you will have a speech. Usually when we talk about event management or events, yeah, there will always be a speech. All right, so you have the keynote speech, you have the officiating speech, all right? And then you have the video presentation, and then you have the webinar begins, where you introduce more about the webinar, okay? And then you introduce the panelists, okay? So if you notice here, the first panelist, I just put the information. I did not put the whole script. Okay, because in the case of a moderator, okay, a moderator is like a host. All right, so you don't want to sound robotic. Okay, a moderator is like a talk show host, so you only have a point, and then you just say it, but the information is just in point form. So if you notice here, I did not put, firstly, I would introduce Sensei Amirul Iman, for example. I did not put the whole script because as a moderator, you want to be natural. So in this case, you only put the points, okay? Panelist, second panelist, blah, 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 blah. And then the webinar begin, all right? So again, you only have the 5 questions here, the main 5 questions. But in a webinar, okay, that is another story, okay? If you want me to share about the tips and tricks on how to be a host in a webinar, yeah, it's a different skill on its own. Okay, so this is just an example. All right, and this one, okay, so can you see the speech outline for project presentation, Miss Fazlina?
Yes.
Okay, so this is for the students. I believe that there are some students here. Okay, so this is a speech or a presentation outline. Again, a speech and a presentation outline will depend on your presentation. Okay, but basically the most important thing that you need to have when you want to give a speech, and I think this can be applied to also non-students as well. For staff, if you want to conduct a meeting, if you want to present something, it always good for you to start with an introduction, and then you will have your body, and then your conclusion. That's very simple. Okay, for your conclusion. So usually in your introduction, the most important thing is for you to greet, of course, for you to greet, introduce yourself, and you need to say the purpose. Why are you presenting? This is very important, and usually this is what beginners usually forgot to say. Why are you here? Why are you standing in front of me? So you need to say the purpose, okay, and of course your topic. All right, and then your body here. It depends on your presentation. Okay, so in this case, the students are required to compare 2 products. So I asked them for, the first point, they compare product A and B, and then for category 1, category 2, 3, and 4. So it depends on you. Okay, but usually your body, you should explain yourself, okay, based on your main points. So identify first, what are the main points of your topic, right? So this is in terms of speech outline. So here I'm sharing you an MC script on the MC, the Master of Ceremony. So I did one of the, I think this is a conference, okay, here in IIUM. So again, in the case of a Master of Ceremony, you know, your outline or your script must be full sentences because this is the formal MC, okay? For the speech outline just now, when you want to, put your information, again, do not put full sentence. Do not put the full script, just point form. Okay, just point form, not even a full sentence actually, just a point form that acts as a guide for you to know what should you say first, what you should say next. Okay, that's the most important thing, because if you write full sentence in your script, then your outline will be useless because you will have the tendency to memorize, and when you memorize, you will be robotic. When you are robotic, you will not be inspirational. People will get bored, and we don't want that. Okay, so yeah, all right. Okay, let me stop sharing and let me share my slide again. No, not this one. Okay, so I hope everyone is okay. All right. Miss Fatina, can you see the screen? Let me present here.
Yes. So
Okay,
far, so good.
that's all right. Let's continue. Okay. Okay, now this is the most important part, yeah? Negative thoughts. When we talk about, presenting in public, I think negative thought is the one that is It's here. It's always here. You know, you always have, Alamak, what if I forgot my line? Alamak, what if I get nervous? Alamak, what if people judge me? What if? Why not we change the what if to a positive what if instead of negative what ifs? Okay. So this is the most important thing. Discard negative thought. When you have a negative thought, when you want to present or when you want to give a speech, you know, the first point here, it will impact your confidence negatively. Even though you have the skill, even though you have the skill, you are knowledgeable, but all of a sudden, when you have negative thoughts, let's say, Alamak, what if I forgot my line? And then you repeat that again and again and again in your brain, in your mind. And then when you go in front of an audience, and then you actually forget all of your lines because of your constant negative thoughts, then your skills will be useless, and we don't want that. Okay, and there is actually a lot. For your information, I also used to be an athlete. All right, and based on my experience as an athlete, you know, people can be very skillful, but when they enter the competition and when they get nervous, and usually you get nervous because of these negative thoughts. What if I mentioned you? What if I fail? What if I will lose? And then it will impact your confidence. Thus, you will not perform. So you need to avoid this. Okay, it's basically have more positive self-talk. Okay, more positive self-talk. Self-talk instead of the what if negative, go for what if positive. All right. So number two, okay, be careful with some of the fears in public speaking. So this is what I mentioned just now. Okay, so you have the fear of failure and the fear of criticism. So I think these two fears are the one that can be relatable to all. Even I have this fear, and I will share my story later, okay, about this two fears. Even though I preach this, oh, don't have fear of failure, don't have fear of criticism, but we are all humans, right? Especially when we are facing with something new, sometimes we have this. All right, so it's always good for us to remind ourselves, we can have this fear, but do not let it overshadow, your performance. Okay. So fear of failure is basically the negative what ifs. All of your what ifs are negative. What if I fail? What if, I fainted? What if I cried during the presentation? What if I forget my line? Blah, blah, blah. If you have this talk, it will happen. Trust me, it will happen. Okay. And of course, fear of criticism. Okay. Fear of criticism happens when you are given a chance for you to speak in public, but you do not want to. You say that, oh, no thanks, because I fear that people will criticize me, they will not like what I say and everything. So that will actually hinders you to speak in public. Again, yeah, the only way for you to improve yourself to speak in public is by actually speaking in public. You cannot say that, oh, let me just watch a lot of videos, oh, let me just watch a lot of webinars, and inshallah, I will improve in terms of my public speaking. No, public speaking or speaking in public, it requires experience. It requires you to actually go in front, speak in public, and learn from your experience, and then and that you can improve. Okay, so avoid this, because fear of criticism, it will hinder you from actually going to speak in public, right? I feel like
Hello everyone,
okay.
saya baru
uh,
habis walk run,
let's see this.
third mock run of the day, of the week, third ke fourth.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to tell you a story, and this is actually about having negative thoughts. Okay, so just for your information, I think last year in 2021, I was invited to become the one of the news reader for TV3 Nightline. Okay, TV3 Nightline is, the news at 12 a.m. in TV3. All right. So it started in Instagram. I just posted myself giving a news, reading a news story, and then one of the producers actually direct messaged me, and he asked, "Are you interested to become a newsreader?" Okay, so I said, "Why not? Let's try. Maybe this will be fun." So I tried. I gave them the the video audition, because before you are invited, you need to give them a video of you giving news. So I gave them, and alhamdulillah, I was chosen to go for the face-to-face audition. So basically there are two auditions: online audition, where you are given the where you need to give them the video audition, and the second one is the face-to-face audition. What's happening? Okay, the face-to-face audition. All right. So alhamdulillah, after the face-to-face audition, I managed to continue. All right. So this is where I can say my journey as a young newsreader started. All right. So after, if you pass the face-to-face audition, you will be under a mock run. So mock run is basically you will need to go to three pentas every week. So I think I did like 4 or 5 mock runs before I decided to, okay, that will be later, all right? Before I decided to pause for a while, this journey. Okay, where was I? Okay, so mock runs is basically you need to go to three pentas every week, and you need to basically read the story like an actual newsreader, except that a mock runs it's not live. They just record yourself. Okay, and in each week we will have a class. I have an online class with Mr. Raymond Go here every week after our news mock run session. We have a session with Mr. Raymond Go, okay, to improve ourselves. We look back at our recordings, what we improve. Okay, so this is where the negative thoughts comes in. All right, I never, okay, just for your information, yeah, I never have the ambition to become a newsreader. It's something fun, I like it, but it's not something that I want to be at that before this. So when I got the opportunity, of course, I try and grab it, right? Maybe because we can learn something. So being new, being fresh, being a raw talent, I must say, yeah. One of the comments that I'm given when I, you know, giving the news was my pronunciation. Okay, they said that my pronunciation is not up to par. TV3 Nightline has a very strict rules on pronunciation. You really must be accurate. My pronunciation is not perfect. Yeah, it's not perfect. Okay, obviously. All right. So after like 2 or 3 mock runs, I have the same issue that your pronunciation, you should improve your pronunciation of your words, blah, 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 blah. And then that is what keeps repeating on my mind when I want to, deliver the news. When I want to deliver the news, I always have this negative thought. Alamak, my pronunciation is not perfect. Alamak, my pronunciation, how to pronounce it? You have self-doubt. You're not that bad, but because you keep repeating that inside your brain, and it affects my performance. And then I think after the 3rd or 4th mock run, they say that, oh, why do you sound so robotic? Why do you sound so careful? News reading is not reading, yeah? Okay. If you feel that it's just reading a teleprompter, you are wrong. I used to think that way. But a newsreader is actually a storyteller. You are telling a story. Okay. And when you tell a story, you need to be authentic. If you read from the teleprompter, just reading itself, you will come across as a robot. And that is what I did because I was too careful with my pronunciation. It's always this negative thought is always repeating inside my brain. Alamak, my pronunciation. Alamak, how to pronounce that? How to pronounce that? When you have the teleprompter, you can actually what setting. You can control them. Okay, so when I control it, alamak, how do I pronounce this word? So that actually affects my performance. I came across very robotic, very careful. It's just like there's no soul when you tell a story. So that is a great example of how I did not preach, I did not practice what I preach. All right. So yeah, that's a good moral value that if you repeat that again and again, then it will affect you. So it's good for you to have this negative thought, but change this negative thought to improve you, okay, not to negatively affect your performance. All right. So to end this story, because of my I think because of my full-time job and because of I'm doing my PhD right now, I don't think I can commit with in because I need to. They say that when you are in the mock run, it means that you are just one step closer to become the newsreader. But you need to go to Sri Pentas every week until they feel that you are okay. Sometimes this is what they state lah. Sometimes it will take around 6 to 7 months before you can actually be on air. So until they puas hati lah, until they are okay, you are ready to go. Okay, so knowing that and looking at my performance, I need to make a decision quickly. And so I discussed with Mr. Raymond that I feel that maybe for now this is not for me. Maybe I need to focus on my PhD, my full-time job. So unfortunately, uh, I hope that I can continue this in the future, but not now. All right. So that is a good story to tell about negative thoughts and everything. Okay. All right. And lastly, be informed. Okay. So attend workshop and webinars, watch videos, listen to people's experiences. This again will give you a sense of security. You know the do's and don'ts. You will increase your knowledge and everything. Okay. And again, networking. The thing about public speaking, it's good for you to network. When you attend workshop and webinars, especially if you want to be more in the public speaking area, such as being an MC, a host, okay, it's good if you can attend workshop or webinars because you can network. Like because I attended my workshop, I have a friend in a newsreader from RTM, a newsreader from TPL Hijra, a host from NTV7. Do they still call it NTV7? I have no idea. Okay. um, a host from there, and then I think one of my friends is the sports commentator, the sports host for RTM. So you will improve your knowledge and also your networking. All right, and do watch videos occasionally to be more informed of the do's and don'ts. All right. Okay, so these are some of the workshop that I attended. Okay, and I learned something new. Okay, I attended hosting workshop and moderator, master of ceremony workshop. Okay, news reading workshop. So it actually helped me to be more informed and also to remind me. Sometimes we tend to forget on the do's and don'ts. So if we have this, we will be inshallah we will be more informed. Okay. All right. So during your speech, okay, so that's done before your speech. So now during your speech, what should you do? Okay, what are the tips that you should take note? Okay. All right. Now this is the first one. Play with different voice patterns. Imagine if I speak like this from the start until the end of the presentation without having a voice pattern. I am being monotonous, so you need to have You need to use just 5 voice patterns: high, medium, low, stress, pause. What do you feel if I speak like that? You will feel like, oh lama apa lah orang ni. Okay, so you don't want that. All right. And usually, okay, so if you do not know what's the meaning of monotonous, it's like what I did just now. Your voice is only one tone from the start until the end. Okay. Usually there are 2 factors on why you can be monotonous. Number one, you are nervous. When you are nervous, you will tend to be monotonous. Okay, so being like I mentioned here, it's a good sleeping strategy, though. Yeah, if you want your audience to sleep, continue being monotonous. Okay, so you don't want that. All right. Usually, when you are nervous, you will tend to do that because that is the safest way for you to present. But it is boring as well. Okay, so you don't want that. All right, so it's good for you to use different voice patterns when you are giving your speech. Okay, and this actually comes with experience. When you speak more, when you present more, inshallah you will improve on this part. So there are 5 voice patterns that you should actually use when you are presenting. This is what I am doing when I'm presenting. High emotion, you express strong emotions such as excitement, maybe anger. If let's say your topic is something that is very serious, that you are mad about this, like I'm so mad, you go up that. Okay. Yeah, strong emotion. Medium is what I'm doing right now. It's your normal speaking voice, and you should be having around 60 to 70% of your speaking voice in your presentation should be medium. Okay. You don't want to shout too much, blah blah blah. It's annoying. But if you speak too low like this, it will be sleepy. All right. But if you shout, it will be annoying. So you don't want that. So you need to have the medium normal speaking voice as well. All right. So low speaking voice is when you want to present something sad or serious. Okay. So for example, if I'm doing like this, so it's something that's serious. You can feel the emotion. Okay. So let's say, unfortunately, I failed the exam. For example, like that. Okay. So you can feel it. There's some sort of emotion there. Okay. So stress is when you emphasize on important points or words. Okay. For example, if I want to say pause is important, right? For example, when we are presenting, pause is very important. You see, I actually stress the word pause so that I want the audience to listen that, oh, pause is important. So do that. Okay. When you're presenting, identify which phrases or which word that you want to stress so that people or the audience can listen to so the audience can actually remember that. Okay. The impact. All right. Okay, pause is also very important, and it's good for you to pause at certain phrases, ideas, or sentence. It helps you and the audience. Oh, sorry, this is not complete. It helps you and the audience. Yeah. Okay. So pause is basically when you stop for a while. Okay, when you stop for a while. So imagine if you don't pause when you're speaking, to avoid being monotonous, use these 5 patterns: high, medium, low, stress, pause. High, you express strong emotion; medium, normal speaking voice; low. That is an example of no pause. All right. When you do not pause in your speech, your audience will have a hard time processing what you want to say. Okay. But if you pause too long, there's an example. Okay. If you pause too long, the audience will feel that what you know they will feel that you are not credible. Okay, they will feel that either you forgot your lines or you forgot the information that you want to say. All right, so it's good for you to pause at certain phrases like I'm doing right now, just now, right? I pause for Allah Akbar. Okay, So I pause for 1 second or 0.5 seconds, and then I continue. Okay, to the next one. Okay, and longer pause for dramatic effect. Okay, listen. 1, 2, 3, and then you continue, for example. Okay, but do not pause too long. Okay, then it will be boring. Okay, so eye contact is also important. Okay, so your eye contact, you will establish credibility. Okay, you will look more comfortable and confident, and you will establish connection with the audience. Okay, eye contact is very important because you want to feel that your audience matters. Okay, when you have eye contact with them, they feel that, wow, you are making connection with them. Okay, and when you have eye contact, it means that you are confident. Okay, and this is a topic that I like. Not a topic, but I can say a tip. Yeah, one thought, one look. Meaning that when you have one thought, okay, you focus on one person, and then when you go to a different thought, you will have eye contact with another person. Okay, so one thought usually will take you around 3 to 5 seconds. So, for example, right now, one thought, one look. Okay, 3 to 5 seconds. These two are two different thoughts. One thought, one look is one thought, and then when you explain 3 to 5 seconds, it's a different thought. So you go to the other person, making eye contact with another person. Okay, and if possible, it's good if you can establish eye contact to everyone. Okay, but don't scan. Instead, change your eye contact by section. What do I mean by section here? It's like this. Okay, so for example, P is you are a presenter, and then you divide your venue in 6 different sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for example, here this is a classroom, So usually students do not sit in front. So you can see here there's only a few students here. So you divide that into sections. So maybe your first eye contact will be here, the yellow one. And then after you finish one look, go to the next section, this one. And then after you have finished this one, go to at the back. So go to different section. Go here first, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and then there. But do not scan one by one. Do not scan like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do not scan that. That will be weird. Okay. So it's good for you to divide by section and to change your eye contact by section. Right. Okay, and lastly, I think this is the last one, yeah. Use transition word. Okay, transition words such as next, the first, second point, third point, finally, in contrast. Okay, it is easier for your audience to follow your flow of thought, and you want that. Okay, and also you want your audience to remember your points. Okay, and numbering is actually one of the best method for you to have in your presentation to indicate, what's your first point, what's your second point. So after they have listened to you, they can know, oh, what's the first point, what's the second point. Okay. Okay. So these are sorry. Okay, so this is just an example. Okay, transition word. You can see in order. Okay. Okay, and also on your non-verbal expression. So take note on this. Okay, your gestures, avoid over dramatic hand gestures like this, and fidgeting. Fidgeting is actually playing with something. So let's say if you have a pen. So today we are going to talk about gestures and movement. And if you are nervous, you will have this issue. Okay, fidgeting. Say with this taking pen. Okay, so today we are going to talk about blah blah blah. So avoid that. Okay, movement, avoid pacing relentlessly. Okay, or being static. Move with purpose. If you want to go to the right, why? Why are you going to the left? Okay, facial expression. Smile. When you start your presentation, smile. Okay, so today we don't want that. Okay, don't start with with that face. It's so ugly. Just smile. But if your topic is about something sad and serious, then you cannot smile. But most of the time, your presentation will be okay. So it's no harm for you to start with a smile. And when you start with a smile, it gives you positive energy actually. And you will make yourself feel good, and you will make your audience feel good as well. Okay. And posture, stand up straight and avoid slouching. This is obvious. All right. So the last question here before I end my speech: how to find your voice and persona in public speaking? Based on what I shared just now, it's basically simple. Okay, find your own identity and be comfortable in your own skin. If you do this, inshallah, people will be very, they will be glad listening to you. All right. If you are comfortable with your own self, if you are confident with your own self, then it will project and the audience will feel it. So what I did, the tips that I shared just now, that is what I did. And because of all of the tips that I shared just now, I am able to find my identity as a public speaker. All right. And you should do too. You do not want to be like me, or you do not want to be like Miss Fazlina. Be yourself. Okay. After you follow the tips just now, find yourself when you want to give your speech. All right. So that's all. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. So I will pass the floor to Miss Fazlina. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Daniel, for such great tips. I did learn a lot of things from you, and I feel like there's still a room for improvement. Still lots of things for me to improve myself. And Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for such an informative and fruitful sharing session, I would say. We now open the question and answer session to the floor. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. But let me just read some of the comments, yeah? So there's comments by Sister Aza saying that love all the tips shared by the speaker. Brother Nazrin said that excellent tips from Brother Daniel. Brother Sharifuddin also said that forgetting your lines is the worst, of course, right? And
That's
also,
true.
yes, throw yourself into the lion's den. You will learn to fend for yourself. Okay. We have one question from the audience. I think it's related to the eye contact, the one that you presented just now, right? What about the third to the second? What about the third to the second? I think it's related to the position of the eye contact, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think just now, the slides. Yes, this one. Brother Daniel, you're muted.
Sorry. Okay. The third. What about the
What
third?
about the third to the second?
Okay, if it's third person to the second person. Okay, let's assume that this is about eye contact, right? Let's say you want to go from the third person to the second person. Okay, let me assume. Okay, brother, if you I don't understand your question, so you can clarify in the chat section. Okay, so in terms of eye contact, it's good if you can go by section. Okay, and try not to have eye contact within one section only, because you have a lot of people here. So let's say the first eye contact is here, the yellow one, and next eye contact you go to the back section, the blue one, and then your next thought is the section beside in the yellow one, and then next will be here, and next will be here. So you go by sections. So I hope I answered that question. Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. We have one more question by Jolly Poo. What would you do if someone asks you a question but you do not know the answer? How would you react?
Okay, so this is a
Interesting
very good
question.
question. Okay.
Exactly.
The tip of how to, as a public speaker, this is a term in Malay. Yeah, you need to know the technique of menggoreng. Okay, menggoreng. Okay. Okay. So menggoreng is basically it's not for you to, okay, it's not good for you to lie. All right, as a public speaker, if let's say you don't know, do not give false information, because you are accountable and you are responsible to what you give to the audience. So you don't want to give them, ajaran sesat. You don't want to give them wrong information. So one thing, if you don't know, don't straight away say I don't know, because you don't want to your credibility to be tarnished. So you just say that is an interesting question, but I think I need to read more about that. Can I get back to you later? So maybe you can actually exchange email or exchange you know contact number, so that you can answer the question later. Okay, so that is a good question. All right. Or usually, if I'm a teacher and my students have that question and I'm not so sure what the answer, I create a discussion among the students. Okay. So you can actually, if you are giving a free speech, you can ask the audience, okay, what do you think about this question? Do you have any answer? And then you can actually summarize what is being said by the other audience. So that's a good tip, and I usually will do that.
Okay, all right. So we have a next question by Adam Othman. How do I move my hand in speech?
Okay, so moving your hands. So if you look at how I present this now, okay, I need to. So your hands is usually like this. Okay, so when you are speaking, let's say from one point to another, you see, it's like that. But do not have your hands like this. You don't want to be distracting. Okay, usually your hand gestures will be based on what you say, like what I say just now, right? When I'm saying, my hand is like this. Again, you cannot rehearse this. Okay, it comes with experience. When you practice more, inshallah, it will come naturally. Okay, but to make things simple, it's basically the way on how you move your hands is based on your speech. So let's say, firstly, I see, firstly, blah, blah, blah. It's very important. See, very important. But again, hand gesture differs from one person to another. So there is actually no one way. And it's not good for you to rehearse. Oh, at this stage, I want to explain like this. No, you cannot say that, because it will tend to be robotic. Okay. So practice and just watch people, how they say, like what I'm doing right now. I'm having hand gestures, but it's not too much like that. So you don't want to do that. All right. So yeah, that's my answer to that question.
Okay. We still have a couple of questions. Okay. So how can I actually, this is a question by Adam.
Okay.
How can I actually improve my vocabulary to speak in public? I always stutter during my presentation because sometimes the word does not pop out from my mind.
Okay. All right. So in terms of vocabulary, let's say if language is your barrier, if you have language barrier, right? So it's good for you to not memorize, but to identify. You can say memorize lah. Okay, memorize certain phrases that can help you to have a flow of your presentation. So, for example, the first point that I want to share is, there is a phrase, okay? And then you fill in the blank with your information, all right? So, and then you want to say, okay, for example, blah, 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 blah. So you have the for example, blah, 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 and then your information, all right? So that's one, okay, in terms of phrases. And number two, I always stutter during my presentation because sometimes the word does not pop out from my mind. This is in terms of the content, I assume. Okay. Sometimes you tend to forget the content. This goes back to your planning stage. Do you prepare enough? Okay, so if you are not prepared enough, then there is a tendency for you to forget the things that you want to say. All right. One thing that is important here in your outline, put the information that is very important for you to say. That's my tip. Okay. You can forget, the other, words or vocabulary, but make sure what are the vocabulary that you want to say in your presentation. Put that in your outline. So when you are presenting, you can refer. Oh, I need to say this phrase. I need to say this part. So you can do that. Again, when you're presenting, it's good if you can have some notes. Yeah, it's good, but not your speech. So that's how you can avoid from forgetting your lines. Okay.
All right, I do agree with you. Okay, next question. How do I deal with stress during a show or maybe a presentation?
Okay. How to deal with stress? Connect with the audience. Seriously, seriously. If you are nervous, if let's say that it's possible for you to interact with the audience, have some interaction. Trust me, that human interaction will actually, lower your anxiety, lower your just how are you, everyone? How's lunch? Start with that. Because you will see that they are humans. They are not there to, to judge you or to, to say boo to you. They are actually humans who are listening. So that's one. Connect with the audience, asking question, uh, in your presentation, ask them a simple question. So if you have connection, trust me, you will have lesser stress in your presentation. That's one thing, yeah, that can help. Yep.
Okay. All right. A question by Amira Nazifa. Is it okay if we just memorize the script before our speech?
No, it's a big no. It's a big no, because when you memorize your speech, again, like I mentioned, you will not be authentic. No, no, no. It's a big no-no. Okay, you can memorize your point, what you want to say, but do not memorize the script. Again, avoid from actually writing the whole script. Assalamualaikum, and today I will be presenting. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just a point. Point first, greet. Point second, introduce yourself. Point three, introduce topic, ways to improve public speaking. That's all. Okay, so you can just follow. Assalamualaikum. My name is Amira Nazifa, and today I will be talking about ways to improve public speaking skill. That's all. Okay, so do not memorize your script, but do look at your points that you want to say. So before you present, just go through one more time the flow. Okay, first introduce yourself. Second tip, first main point. That will be helpful. Do not memorize, okay?
All right. Next question is by Nurul No. What do you do if you have hiccups during your speech?
Wow, hiccups. Okay, if you have hiccups, I never had hiccups during my speech. Is it a constant hiccup or like only one time? If it's like one or two times, just say sorry, because we are humans. They will understand, and hiccups or sneezing or coughing, it's biology, right? We cannot control that actually. Okay, but usually, again, I much like newsreader, right? They always ask newsreader, if let's say you want to sneeze during news reading live, what will you do? Usually, when you are, in front, you have the adrenaline. Usually you will not sneeze. Usually you will not hiccup. But if you do, just apologize. We are humans. They might laugh a bit, but don't be embarrassed. Laugh with them. Don't be embarrassed. Sometimes, hello, assalamualaikum. Tiba-tiba kan. And then they will laugh. It's funny, but don't be embarrassed. Just, know that we are humans, that it is out of control, and laugh with them. I'm sorry about that. Hiccup suddenly wants to be with me today, so let's just welcome him, today in the presentation, for example, like that. So yeah, just apologize and don't be stressful about that. It's human nature.
Okay. Another question. What should we do to speak clearly in front of audience without feeling nervous?
Okay, what? Oh, okay, sorry, physical here or making you up, missing all your points here, sorry. What should we do to speak clearly in front of an audience
Without feeling nervous. Yes.
without feeling nervous? Number one is control your pace. Just be relaxed. Like I mentioned, have a comfortable pace. Pause a bit. Do not rush. Again, if you have an outline, okay, if you have an outline, inshallah, your pace will be okay. All right. Speak clearly. All right. Speaking clearly is like I mentioned just now. Use transition words. When you use transition word, inshallah, what you say is will be clear in terms of your point. But in terms of how clear you are, your clarity of your voice, that you need to have some exercises. The I, U, O. There is like vocal exercises to avoid you from mumbling. Sometimes students they will feel like this, you cannot hear them because they do not actually open their mouth when they are speaking. So if you have problem with this, you need to have uh prop you need to have you need to learn about the vocal practice, the bubbling, the hissing, the u. All right, so that's I think my point. Oh,
Okay.
messing up points.
All right. Maybe a few more questions. Yeah. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, how do I know the response of the audience?
How do I know the response of the audience? Look at them when they nod. When they like nodding, it means that they are listening to you, and that is a positive sign. And that even like when I listen when I'm speaking, Miss Fazlina, she nods. It's a good sign for me, and I feel very good. That's why it's hard for us to do a webinar because we cannot see the audience respond, right? We cannot see the audience response. So yeah, you can see when they are nodding, meaning they are listening. All right, and it gives you a feel good. Yeah, it makes you feel good, and you will be more motivated. All right. So look at them when they nod, when they smile. Okay, when you say
Facial
something funny,
expression, right?
smile. Yeah, facial expression. Look at their facial expression.
Okay. So basically, Nurul know just now. The
Hmm.
question was, what do you do if you have hiccups,
Ah,
right? So the hiccups is basically messing up points like
Mexican
in
pause.
between
Okay, all
the
right.
speech or
Okay.
presentation. Yeah.
So messing up points, it's very general. What do you mean by messing up points? Meaning that either you forgot what you want to present, or maybe the order is different. Let's say, you want to present 1, 2, 3, but you only present 1, 3, 2. So what do you do? Okay. So if it's not a big deal, if let's say it doesn't affect your message, your presentation as a whole, let it be. Let it be. Okay, because when you are presenting, it's important for you to establish credibility. So if people can see some weaknesses in your presentation or in your speech, your credibility might be tarnished. However, if your hiccups affects your presentation as a whole, meaning that it gives you a different kind of message, you need to clarify. Oh, let's say, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Just now was actually blah 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 blah. You need to explain. Okay, that is no problem because again, we are humans, right? So my point, if it doesn't affect the speech as a whole, let it be. People will not know. They will feel that, oh, you are good already. But if the message is clearly misunderstood, or the message is different, then you need to rectify. Okay. Again, you are accountable and responsible to the things you say to your audience. That is the general rule of a public speaker.
Okay. Maybe one last question. I have a question by Datin Saparia.
Mhm.
Is slang important? What slang should we use when we speak English?
Okay, I assume you are talking about accent. Okay, accent.
Yeah.
Like when you speak something, when you speak English, you have like Malaysian accent, right? Or Arabic accent. Not a problem. Accent is not a problem as long as people can understand you. Okay, because we need to know, I always say to my students, yeah, we are not Englishmen. English is not our native language. And some people can actually speak English like the native speaker, and that's their skill, no problem. Some people, they will speak like how their first language is, like myself. I do speak Malaysian English. My accent is not American or British, it's Malaysian English. Not a problem. Don't feel that hinders you to speak English. Okay? Celebrate your accent. But then again, okay, if your accent is disturbing the message, meaning that if your accent makes it difficult for people to understand what you are saying, then you need to minimize your accent. But if you're speaking English with an accent, but people can easily listen to you or understand your message, no worries. It's not a problem at all because people know you're not a native speaker and you're from Malaysia. So you speak like a Malaysian. No problem. Celebrate your accent. Celebrate your culture.
Exactly. All right. Okay. I think that is all. We have no more questions in the chat
Lot
box.
of questions.
No
Thank you.
questions. Alhamdulillah. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we have reached the end of our session. Thank you so much, Brother Daniel, for an informative sharing. I believe that everyone enjoyed and benefited from the sharing session. And on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude to all. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate your presence today and your time. By the way, for IIUM staff and students, please do not forget to sign in your attendance and also the evaluation form. It is posted in the chat box, okay, in YouTube. Thank you so much. Again, thank you so much, Brother Daniel. Till we meet again in another webinar, inshallah. Let's end our session with Tasbih Farah and Surah Al-Az.
Thank you so much, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
that you get benefit from the webinar.
Assalamualaikum. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.